right. Welcome back, everybody.
That was really weird. Your mom was like asking you a question. You're just like, all right, everybody, we're back. Shut up, Mom, basically.
He was muttering.
She was mothering.
Muttering, although mothering is also appropriate. What? What? Anyways, yeah, we're back and we're ready to go in this ZvZ finals. So, best of 7 and Korea versus Europe playing on the NA server. Fortunate, but it is the way it is. Tweet is made, it is tweeted, and we're getting the game. Beautiful. What are you eating?
Yo, check the tweet I just made.
Mom has crackers. That's pretty good. Your face is very appropriate.
Okay, let me update the title of the stream too, because yeah, this is the grand finals. Leenock versus Elazer. I'll get on. Actually, you made a great tweet. I'm just gonna go retweet that on BaseTrade. Yeah, so let's get everybody caught up, especially for those who are just watching the VOD. You might be wondering, hey, where's the other semifinals? Where's the third place match? What's going on? Why are we going straight to the finals? And for those who weren't here with us live at the time, Zest took like 30 minutes to show up, so they walked him over. It was unfortunate. That happens. It looks like they completely walked him over too, so it wasn't just like knocking him down to third, fourth place. It is just straight up out. So Joxy has secured third place at the point of me saying this, and we now move on to the grand finals. So ZvZ finish. I mean, it's a European player. Of course, it's going to be like that, right? In the bottom left, hey. He's the blue Zerg player, Elazer.
On the top right, as the red Zerg, it is Leenock. Oh, I don't think I've seen these two play a ZvZ ever. I'm actually going to go check that on Leenock.
Well, so I don't know about these two specifically while you look that up, but one of the things that I think is really interesting is Elazer for me. I was always like, because he could beat Snoot, this guy must be an amazing ZvZer. As it turned out, Elazer is a great player, but it feels like his ZvZ is God tier versus Snoot specifically, and then just kind of all right versus others. We've actually seen Raynor and some others knock out Elazer from tournaments when you really didn't expect it to happen. Denver dethroned him for, I think it was like Ting Season 2. Like a lot of these sort of, I'm going to respectfully as possible refer to them as mid-tier Zerg players, knocking down somebody who is of Elazer's caliber, and I think Elazer really is a highly rated player in my books. So I don't know how good his ZvZ objectively is, much less versus Leenock.
Yeah. It's a question mark. Their last game played against each other was in 2014 for Fragbite Masters. So 3 years. It was like May 2014 too, so...
Damn, that region lock hitting hard.
Yeah, right. I mean, these guys don't really play many tournaments, actually. Like, you brought up Elazer beating Snoot, and that does actually happen often enough, but we just cut recently our number of European tournaments, so that's why it's a little bit less so. For Leenock, he doesn't show up to, like, every single Korean tournament like some other guys do, like Alive and Gumio and all that, although he does occasionally. So there's very little chance they're going to interact with each other. It just makes sense. And then on top of that, either one of them wanting to play on a different server is going to be pretty low too. And for ZvZ, this is also going to be a bit cruel. You might actually see some questionable micro mistakes, like a Bane link going off a little bit too late, that actually can be chalked up to the delay.
I wonder what is actually more quote-unquote fair. When you've got like a best of 3, it's understandable to keep them on the same server. It's simple, it's easy, and it's quote-unquote fair. In a best of 7, I almost feel like loser's pick plus loser's server is more appropriate.
Yeah, we haven't had to do that in a long time since the Ting, open, I guess. So, oh well. We do have a lot of Lings on the way. That is heating up pretty quickly. Leenock's trying to go for a very quick lair, and he might just not have enough to deal with this. Now he doesn't have speed. Like, his gas all went into that lair, and he just decided to skip speed entirely. And this is a huge mistake. His queens get surrounded. There's not even, like, this was even broken down, and that's just game.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, forget what I was questioning about Elazer ZvZ. He comes out the gate swinging with a very nice 1-0.
Yeah, harsh, but, kind of... I mean, that's definitely on Leenock a little bit, right? Like, there's very limited scouting from him, which is, like, not so uncommon, I think. You get your overlords in early game ZvZ, but then his defender's landing. So, like, yeah, your overlord's right there, but also It gives you like a 2-second heads up and then you're screwed. So to go for something like that, what he did was, I mean, it should have been punished, and it very easily was. So on to the next map. Very quick.
I need to take a selfie for more shitposting purposes, and this is one of those times I'm really glad I have 2 phones, so that I can take a super shitpost picture. I wish there was a way to monetize shitposting. I feel like I would be richer than YouTubers.
I don't know. I know you're a really good shitposter, but...
Actually, my favorite troll or shitposter, you want to call it, is like... actual YouTuber finds out that their great grandmother was like Jewish. Next video is about the Holocaust or something like this. I have such a stigma against YouTube folks right now. There's some really good ones out there, but I really do not like a majority of YouTubers in general.
Yeah, I never really got on the train, right? So I've only ever watched like 1 or 2. Grace help.
To be clear, it has nothing to do with like, oh, Twitch is greater than YouTube, and that's why, even though it totally is. I just feel like a lot of people's true colors came out during this whole quote-unquote adpocalypse thing, and a lot of content creators just have really disappointed me over the last month and a half.
That's unfortunate. I always have this intention to go find YouTubers that are really fun. And I even follow someone like Twitter, for instance, but I never really watch them. But then when I decide to, I end up like binge watching, like, you know, 50
like 40 videos. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's coming around sometime. We're already into game number 2, and in the top left is the blue Zerg. Down 1, it's Leenock.
And of course, his opponent stealing from the rich to give to the poor. It's why it's his name. The foreign Zerg player, Robin Hood, a.k.a. Elazer.
Is he stealing from EU to give it to NA, or vice versa?
No, he's stealing from Koreans.
Well, now he is. But I mean,
yeah, he literally is.
Is for NA.
Zest and Jakshi, get wrecked.
I mean, you're right, but I'm just like, his clan tag, man. For NA Robin Hood? Seems like he's, you know, pro NA Robin Hooding. That's a verb. Do you like any of the Robin Hood movies at all? Men in Tights I grew up with.
I think if I rewatched it now, I don't think it would be as good, but I really enjoyed it growing up. So
yeah, it's my favorite movie from what's his face. I can't remember his name right now. I really can't remember his name right now, but everyone knows what I'm talking about, I think. But it was actually, I think, one of his least well-reviewed ones. Spaceballs and, of course, Blazing Saddles being a lot higher up.
Spaceballs, man. Spaceballs.
Yeah. Yeah, Robin is basically the only one I liked. I didn't like the one with, like, Kevin Spacey or whatever. No, that wasn't it. There's another Kevin Costner? God, so many Kevins. But that one I thought was really boring. I think there was a remake, like, even, like, within the last 6 years. But, of course, no one flipping cared. Robin Hood's an okay story, but, you know, obviously the best one's got to be the Disney version.
Oh, the fox and the stuff, or the animal people or whatever.
Animals. Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched it since I was a kid, but I assume it's pretty good. Disney's all right. I'm sure it lasted. I'm sure it holds up, you know, as does other Disney movies. Anyway. No really quick attack coming yet, I guess. But, you know, those defenders landing, you're going to be aggressive. And even if your aggression doesn't pay off in, like, the way that it did last game with, like, an instant win, it's going to be delaying on the, you know, third base and testing your opponents, forcing them to make links too. I think there's a very low chance that was going to be immediately shut down, because then that would have been, like, you know, Leenock getting one of the earliest Baneliness ever. And he is getting a Baneliness right now, I guess, to note. Much faster than what Elazer's doing. Elazer's just calmly getting to his third base and still making more and more drones. His queens are awfully bold.
Actually, I would say especially, you got to be careful. Somebody like Leenock actually has a really stark history of being aggressive and cheesy. And I'm not saying that's like any indication here now, but playing with queens that far off of creep against a player like that is risky, to say the least.
Yeah. Leenock, I mean, he showed his aggression versus Jock with the Nidus Worm. He even showed it in the series before that yesterday. I don't remember exactly why, but I just remember him being aggressive. And he is. Like, he can be a tricky player as well. He's not quite MLG Leenock, you know, like bringing the Baneling drops to faction type deal, but he definitely can be cheesy and very aggressive. But it's actually, once again, Elazer getting a bit more of the aggression. He's got a lot more lings on the way. He does not have a Baneling nest, though, so he should be stalled out here. But still, there's a lot of chaos. 2 drones went down. He did decent trades with the lings, and now he's on top of that third base, trying to stop the Banelings from getting those hits. Okay. Saved. For now. A bit risky for the lings trying to go up that main ramp again. This could have been time for Leenock to get more Banelings. And now, Elazer, you know, cutting it real close to this Roach timing. He doesn't have his own Baneling nest. If Leenock was to just pile on the aggression in turn, obviously it'd be much harder for Elazer to defend against.
Well, Baneling hits are always going to sting, whether they're big or small.
Yeah. At Leenock, I mean, there are a couple of Banelings coming over right now. It's not really a scary amount, and he's droning behind this. So while Elazer absolutely has to take this seriously, he is, I think, appropriately just depending on these queens and lings.
I just realized he was trying to get the creep spread there, but it's not there yet, so these queens can't get back in time to snipe off the Banelings.
Gotta split. You know, the Elazer has lings of his own actually going into that natural base now.
Yeah, Leenock taking some damage back at home, but I feel like Leenock got away with a little bit more with those couple extra Baneling hits.
Sneaky. Yeah, queens might go down here. T-Lurl? Nah, just the one. The lings are cleaned up, but did he notice the lings over here? Soon to be Banelings?
Not if he F2s them.
That'd be awkward.
These may or may not be good Banelings here, but he's already done a lot of damage. Elazer's actually down 11 workers. He's not in a good spot. He's trying to move to Roaches, which I actually really like this move if he had time for it, but I don't think Leenock's going to give him time.
Well, yeah, it was the timing of the Roaches that actually screwed him over here. That and also like trying to do the counter harassment was a little bit questionable. The Banelings, whoopsie daisy, I guess they did not get the best hits. Just a lot of splash damage, only 2 drones went down. And I was just paying attention because Elazer's all winning at this point. Like, he realizes that he's taking a lot of damage. He had to build so many units, not rebuilding those drones. So if he doesn't do something right now, he's going to fall behind economically. Unfortunately, with Leenock running around, however, and no Banelings to stop this instantly, there's just no timing that Elazer can comfortably hit. He'd be forced into a base trade with slow Roaches. So he's got to come back, defend, and that's all the time Leenock needs to get his own Roaches. That's a lot of transfusing those queens. It's like the one thing Elazer has.
Even that being said, and even that being considered, Leenock, if it was right now, he was still making 9 Roaches, I think he'd be in a lot of trouble. The fact that he's going to have 11 Roaches waiting is going to put him in a pretty good spot. The best thing Elazer actually has going for him right now is not those queens, but the additional Zerglings coming. He'll be able to soak a lot of the hits from the Roaches, and if Leenock chooses to ignore them, the Lings will do a lot of damage to the Roaches. This is an all-in that can possibly work, but this is like 50-50 at best for Elazer, I feel.
He's getting, you know, decent use out of his lings. There's like, you know, Leenock having his own Baneling nest could have stopped this in the tracks, unless Elazer had some really good micro, but he just actually lets the lings get like partial surrounds
9
and take a
Roaches
lot
to
of
8.
shots.
Those transfuses might make or break this. If he can kill the Roaches and get a snowball here, the continued Link Flood, remember how small it is, will be enough to keep them afloat. This is looking worse and worse for Leenock. Drones are getting pulled now, so getting a little bit desperate. 8 Roaches to 7. Those transfuses for the Queens are almost out. Elazer's used up most of his extra lives at this point.
Wow. I can't believe this almost worked. He's getting a lot of drones, but 8 more drones went down on the other side of the map to 2 more sneaky Banelings that we didn't get to catch. If that hadn't have happened, it would be 18 drones to 20, and maybe there's a macro game for both of them out of this.
Okay, there's the possibility here where if it's like 8 drones to 8, maybe, right? But these extra links, like I said, are just enough to tip the scales in his favor. Having 2 to 3 Roaches shooting at the Roaches that are just spawning, that's always going to go favorably for Elazer, technically. But I think, despite the positioning here, which is good, the links from Leenock might just clean this up. And this got down to a really tight, close, and desperate situation. But Leenock looks like he's going to hold.
Yeah. If those 2 Banelings had not hit, I think Elazer has equalized situation. The only thing Leenock has in favor is a Baneling nest, but GG.
All right, well, quite the exciting series so far, I must say. 2 games in.
Yeah, that was quite surprising that it almost ended up even. But now going into game number 3 in a best of 7. Going to take a quick 2-minute break while we can. Thanks for watching. Welcome back, everybody. It's game number 3, and it's all tied up. We're on Sequencer, and in the top right is the blue Zerg. It is Elazer.
Oh, swapping up colors. Bottom left, gonna be the red Leenock. Is my mic messed up?
No, I got the tiniest little bit quiet during the engagement, but it really wasn't anything.
I'm more looking for when it goes robot-y than anything else.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that bad at all. Hopefully it stays that way. Okay, so I mean, 2 action-packed games, although the first one was action-packed for like a second, I guess, so I don't know if it's quite the right description, but instant ling win, just lings and no lings equals a win for Elazer, and then a last game, that little bit late of a transition to roaches, and, you know, his own counterattack not doing equalizing damage, and into an all-in. That almost worked. I really found, like, I would have found that really entertaining if that all-in had worked. Transfuse is pretty good. Maybe if his Ling reinforcements would be good. And again, if those Banelings had not hit, then maybe the macro game is good. But it is what it is, and Leenock ties it up in a best of 7. Still a lot more games to go.
Oh, and I have a really sad update, by the way.
What?
Zest just messaged me, which I found a little bit awkward. I'm really sorry about all the people involved. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Sorry. And then like the sad TT face.
TT. Yeah.
So I'm not sure what happened, but he's quite evidently sorry that he wasn't able to play today.
I just like, I would bet money that he just like woke up and then fell right back to sleep. Like, I'm good. Just, you know.
See, it's funny because like I would say that about most people, but Zest to me, like, I imagine he's like this really strict regiment and like discipline, and probably doesn't have trouble waking up like us normal plebs.
So I actually think it's the opposite type thing. So like, for him, like for me, it's like him and Showtime kind of have that same appeal, right? Like they're in the gym in the morning, you know, they work out, they keep their body healthy, and they have like this strict regimen of practice, but not like regular nerds. And I mean that like they don't get used to waking up at 10 a.m. They actually, or 2 a.m. rather, they actually wake up at 8 a.m. to do the gym and then practice for 7 hours and then have a nice nightlife and then they go to sleep. That's what I imagine them both to be like. Like 10 p.m. is my bedtime type guys, because I gotta get up in the morning and work out. But usually, I mean, they think it just sucks. Like it's like a high profile thing, right? Like everyone's been in that position where you don't show up for something one reason or another, and you're apologetic and whatnot. And sometimes it is because you're like, just 10 more minutes and I'll be good. But it like sucks when it happens like a pretty high profile, bunch of viewers and stuff like that.
I do want to make it clear though, we are being hypothetical. We don't know the reasons S didn't show up, just so everyone is fully aware.
It's funny because Leenock was actually also calling him. Like there was actually a stop responding point that was like the extra bit of suspicious. So, well, these Lings didn't do anything. Way to go, guys. Just ran into their death. I take that back. They did get some scouting. I mean, seeing that many Lings, it wasn't really that many, but at least warning Leenock to throw down this wall. And Sequencer does allow you to get a very clean, easy wall with the debris over here. So he didn't go for speed once again. He skipped it, but not for a faster lair, just to go into roaches.
Oh my god. Remind me to talk about the Transformers poster after this game, by the way. Sorry.
The Transformers poster?
It's so bad.
I was gonna say, is it just terrible? That's what I imagine.
It looks like an 11-year-old with Photoshop did it.
Beautiful.
I'll get some links in chat, I guess, in a few minutes when I catch up. But for Leenock to fully wall off on Sequencer, I gotta say, like, there's some merits here. Like, oh, save 3 bases, right? Like, how bad could this really go? But I think it's also maybe to me shows like a little bit of fear. I don't know. Like, I feel like most players, Leenock would have no problem just using his own units to fight his opponent's units, right? Not having to go full wall off. Macro hatchery even.
Yeah, because the Roachworn is a fake. I mean, you don't see this too often, but we did mention Leenock being a tricky guy. This was a trick build that did have like its height of popularity that you would actually expect it. But it's gone for a long time.
Well, Elazer scouts the macro hatchery, and I know Elazer's a smart cookie. That alone should be enough for him to know, like, wait a minute, that looks fishy as fuck.
Yeah, you're probably right. Plus, like, I feel like wall-offs also come with pretty fast layers and not 2 evolution chambers wiggling and jiggling. If you go for roaches, usually it's only the +1, as Elazer is getting. So there are definitely multiple, you know, points you can see that something is up. This Overseer could confirm just by seeing how many lings there are, or seeing the Roachworm being killed. That would be the most obvious statement. The thing is that even if it is scouted, you aren't just ling all-inning, you're ling all-inning with 1/1. So, like, you really have to be prepared, and that preparation is a lot to do with the Baneling nest, but because of the +1 Carapace, you need to make more Banelings than usual, and actually be quite wary of letting your roaches get surrounded. Well, it's a good thing they both took their in-base expansions. This one could just, I think, should just be cancelled. Yeah, it seemed a little bit too dangerous to try and let go, but 1/1 is finishing up. The roaches get a little too far forward, but they are protected by a good number of Banelings. And Leenock, it's not like a complete waste to go for 1/1 lings, and he's even transitioning into a Spire, which makes the most sense. But of course, he's not quite as advanced in the economy or the tech as Elazer.
Well, having the Banelings to wash off any amount of lings normally is good, but when there is this many, this dedicated, I mean, I love what Leenock is. I feel like Leenock is playing Heart of the Swarm, right? Because backing this up, there's 7 spine crawlers coming down to protect a Spire behind this. Hello? Like, that is some anti-roach dedication.
Yeah. Quite afraid that Elazer has an opportunity to kill him, which he should be afraid. It's a lot of Banelings. But Elazer took the macro path. Infestation Pit was already put down as he saw the lings on the way, and now a Hydralisk Den as he realizes what is probably following this up. Doesn't have to scout it to know, but he did scout it.
Well, that base dies pretty quick. Well, canceled really quick, I should say, but... the door was left open and the lings start flooding everywhere. And while he might have been able to use 1 or 2 Banelings to deal with the lings all together, it's a little bit more difficult when they're spread all over the place like this. 9 drones dead. 3rd base going to get canceled once again. It is a cancel, not a kill, worth noting.
Yep. These lings, I mean, if they get into a drone line, they are going to kill drones very quickly. So even though it was cleaned up pretty fast, still, 13 drones and a queen, I believe, went down, as well as like the 3rd cancel on that 4th base. But those are acceptable losses. Grand scheme of things, that just equalizes the drone counts, because Elazer was on 60 plus for quite a while. I guess it is the big dip, but it should be back to normal. Leenock has his own 4th base on the way, and he should be taking control of the map for a little bit with these mutas. Unfortunately, as they are later mutas, the Hydras are already out. There's going to be Infestors eventually too, and their time controlling the map won't be as long as it could be, but they've already got a couple Overlords.
Oh.
Poster, by the way, is it's pretty good. It's good at art school for.
Yeah. I feel like for those who don't know, I don't use Photoshop for a lot of my shit posting. I use a combination of Paint and like an online browser type Photoshop thing. I feel like that is about the quality of where this poster lies.
Leenock is really starting, like, the thing is, against a Muta player, Muta Ling player, of course, the game really is about just holding on until you get a maxed out perfect army, and then attacking, ideally, before they've gotten to Ultras or Broodlords. So even if he takes damage here, if he can still max out eventually, it might be a-okay, but Leenock's really starting to test him.
Yeah, but you know what? There's 4 Infestors. Once the mutas are finally dealt with, the army for Elazer's just so much better. It's +2 weapons. It's a lot of Hydras that are going to be hiding behind the roaches, so good luck Banelings getting those connections. Leenock's trying to get his own Infestors out, but I think mid-game control still here, despite 22 workers dead, and I know, right? Despite 22 workers dead, I still favor Elazer quite a bit.
It's coming to that point, though, where, like, yeah, Elazer has what could be the perfect army if it was maxed out and ready to move out. He would probably win. But since he's still being very defensive and still has to remake drones and is only just now getting to a hive, waiting for that's going to take a long time, Leenock is getting ahead here. Like, not just, by killing 22 drones, by having the time to advance his tech past Ling Spire, which, to be honest, even if it was just Lings, they're like going on their way to 3-2, which is quite scary. Chino glands. But yeah, also the Ultras Cavern, which they're going to be quite well upgraded. And that'd flip it back into maybe Leenock's favor battle-wise. Straight up fight. Oh, bye, Nidus.
Well, that takes care of that problem. Still a lot of equations on the map, though. Like, top left, a lot of units stored up there for Leenock, ready to hit Elazer once he's moved out too far. Leenock might be thinking about Ultras. Well, 3 of them with Kindness Splitting will be nice. Roaches actually hit Ultras hard enough for the Carapace to not be that big of a deal.
This Ling attack could have been really good, but Elazer smartly leaving Roaches at home, but they're still so well upgraded. They're taking out chunks of Roaches at a time. Getting to the third base a little bit now, too. Main base, they're only bailing some morph anyways if you even try to keep them secret. Once again, just like, if these were not upgraded and they get in this mineral line for this long, it's probably more like 4 drones die, but 15 drones die in a blink of an eye, despite Elazer trying his best to have reinforcements back at home ready to go. And Leenock is continuing to buy time, keeping Elazer from actually pushing. Elazer is getting kind of fed up, though. He's supply blocked, unfortunately. He is moving out with the majority of his army, but he's going to be running into spine crawlers, first of all, made earlier in this game, and then a lot of Ultras that will just barely have their upgrades.
I'm actually really concerned, though, that Leenock's Spine Crawler / Evo Chambers might play against him. Ultras ultimately are best defeated by SimCity, and I feel like his own could play against them, depending on how this goes.
That's a good point. I think Leenock realized it, too, so he's getting ready to take an offensive fight and then use them defensively if he has to retreat.
Yeah, I think this is the much better way to handle the situation. Otherwise, this is just a little bit too much, but Elazer definitely does not have enough to deal with everything here. The Fungals are going to land, the army can't kite, and if you can't kite, you can't get away from the Ultras. But the counter Fungal kills most of the Lings, which is kind of nice too. I love the Infested Terrans coming down. They block out the Ultras. They can't reach those Hydras. They can't get on top of those Ravagers.
That was a nice move. More Fungals available, and of course there's the Spine Crawlers, but this will still be a nice base to take down. Oh, Corsair Biles hit.
Corsair Biles. Yo, Ultras are really big targets. It's going to be a lot easier to hit.
I think Leenock might have, like, his reinforcements are going to be so good, right? Like, Lings getting surrounds and Ultras popping out.
His reinforcements are really expensive, though. Hydras and Roaches in comparison are not. Like I said, look at that. Like, the Roaches actually hit hard enough with the Ultras. Their armor isn't that big of a deal. When you're shooting for 20, like, yeah, that's still 6 armor reducing it, but that's not much compared to, like, Hydras and Lings doing, like, 1 damage a hit. I think what's crazy about that, though, is it's been since, like, the days of Patreus, right? Like, who the hell is Rifkin talking about? I haven't seen anyone do such sick Infested Terran blocks against Ultra specifically in a ZvZ since Patreus played last.
What makes it extra impressive was not just the micro and the sense that he had to think about that, but it was that he had a large portion of Roaches back at home waiting for a counterattack. So that was even like less than the army supply had suggested. Now it's his entire army, brought it all forward, realizing that Leenock's in a very desperate spot. Leenock's finally getting his +3 Carapace too, so it's like the upgrades again are like pretty baller, but even Elazer on his way to +3 and now has this ramp, this choke to use against the Ultras.
Corsair Biles also landing. Those Infested Terrans actually kept the Ultras forward. I think he was trying to use them like force fields in a way, rather than keeping the Ultras out, keep them in for the Corsair Biles. I mean, Corsair Biles is like, what, 60 damage a shot, so that's going to be hitting right through that. Pierces armor too, but unfortunately, it takes so long for him to deal with the Lings that he doesn't get to actually fire away on the Ultras. We don't have Changeling blocks coming in.
Yeah. Plus,
Banelings screw with the Ultras is such a big weight. That cost him an Ultralisk.
That was really good. And what's funny, too, is I feel like Leenock also was trying to trap Elazer's army with Changelings, but then accidentally trapped the Ultras even more so. But I was going to bring up that... What was I going to bring up?
Did I just learn that Changelings are immune to fungal growth?
Huh. I guess so.
That or it's just like on the very, very, very edge. Okay.
All right,
Not something I've ever had to consider knowing.
But yeah, what I was going to bring up was that the banelings are actually still like a big threat. Like, it was less about the banelings, we're talking about the lings and the ultras, because there weren't many banelings, and those are usually the big hot topic units. But the banelings are, they did crash in the hydras, and that definitely helped, but now it's mostly roaches again.
You know, whether it's the eggs or the physical infested Terrans, the body blocking that they do to keep the more real units alive is great. But oh, the banelings in the backside come in for the hydras. Nice moves out of Leenock, but it's not good enough. And Elazer, he may have lost most of his hydras. He's still powering through with the roaches.
This is a really cool game. Spinecrawler is really good against those roaches.
Are there? There's 14 Spinecrawlers in play.
Yes.
Holy.
Quite a lot. That's some good defense. But the Infestors are being taken out. I guess Leenock does not have an Overseer, so they're just popping out Infested Terrans every single time they can. Evolution Shapers are no longer needed. We got fully upgraded Lings and Ultras here. But they're having trouble getting the surrounds they need. They're having trouble actually taking out the rest of the army. They're trying to. Just barely not able.
As we can see, the focus fire on the Ultras is pretty good, but it's the Lings that are dealing a lot of the damage. +3 melee on Lings cannot be undervalued here. Not to think of Adrenal Glands. The Ultras are scary. They've got the splash damage, but I think the Lings are adding so much to this, and it's a big problem that he can't just clean them off. He has no bandits of his own. He's got no fungal growth. He creates another wall with the infested Terran bodies, but the Ultras actually focus fire them down this time, so he's not going to have that block. He loses the Infestors, he loses his roaches, and Elazer may have lost his momentum.
That might just be the case. I think he realized it too at the last second, so he was trying to retreat so hard, but he's retreating into a lot more hydras and roaches. He does have a 5th base, so he definitely has enough to still continue reinforcing. But there's a really key thing that we haven't been talking about because the action has just been so intense on the front lines. 3 ultras instantly going down to all of these units, and that is that Leenock did have a 5th base that Elazer doesn't know about. Yeah, he doesn't know about. And they got fully saturated too, so Elazer's probably thinking, like, how in the world can he possibly be affording this? This must be the last couple of ultras possible. But it's not. Still 4 more, 7 more on the way, I guess. Just trickling them out, but I think Elazer still has the every single time he seems to get just good enough engagements. They keep that army supply, but Overseers are available, so those were just wasted roaches.
Oh boy. This has been pretty crazy. I mean, Elazer has made the hard stance to not go for his own Ultralisk, right? I think you can fight this out Ultra versus Ultra. We've seen it many times before. Maybe it's the upgrade discrepancy. Maybe it's the preference to play with ranged units. I don't think he's been playing badly either. It's not like, oh, he's made a big mistake by not going for Hive. But it is that solid choice to stay on this layer tech. Like, well, not layer tech, excuse me, he's on Hive tech. But to not go with Hive tech units, right? Like, no Broodlords, no Vipers, no Ultralisks of his own.
Good use of Burrow to save those drones. The hatchery, unfortunately, will die, but don't break the drones, have to waste the larva there. But Ling's going on over here, too, and that's 2 hatcheries, which, you know, that one wasn't so bad, but losing both of his fresh mining bases, the only mining bases, actually, that's pretty bad. He only just realizes through move commanding his roaches back home that there's a base over here. Otherwise, he was just checking the corners, and he realizes the mistake that he probably made every time he would try and size up the opponent. Like, okay, this got to be the last couple of ultras. Well, now he knows why that isn't the case. Well, I guess he has
of course, this base... This is actually kind of important, though, because while this has been a boon to Leenock up until this point, this is his only real mining base, and it's far and away from his reinforcements. All the larvae coming from the other side of the map, it's the way he gets here easily to defend this.
And this choke is so brutal.
If he kills this base, I think this could win Elazer the game. Even if he loses the army to do so. But not like this. Not if he loses the army like this. The Ultras right in his face. No kiting, no investing. There's nothing to support him with. Uh-oh.
That was questionable. I talked about that choke point because it was so important, but then he actually moved commands to try and get the hatchery, but oh, it cost him so much.
Oh my god. Leenock ran in there. I don't know if he tried to do some changing blocks. I just gotta keep it.
Yeah, he tried that, like, yeah, in another fight too, but yeah. I said move command, of course I'm an attack command, but the point is he got out of the abusive choke position that he had, and that was, like, instantly when the Ultras got on top of enough of the army to finally be, like, as effective as they should be. But that was crazy back and forth, and the Ultras eventually didn't win it out, so Leenock is the one to take the lead here, 2-1.
I gotta give both players so much credit for that game, though. There's so many really cool moments of block on terrain upon, like, favorable engagements, but the Infested Terran blocks out of Elazer obviously won my heart a little bit more than all the rest, but there's so much good in that game.
There was. That was pretty exciting. I can't believe it all started off with an all-in, basically, from Leenock. I tried to emphasize...
I forgot. Yeah, the Ling all-in.
Oh, we're gonna have a 5-minute break, so... Okay, well, I tried to emphasize that, like, it wasn't the worst thing that it didn't work, but it was pretty, like, devastating to just be hardcore stopped in its tracks. You know, they were on 3 bases, they're getting to a 4th base, and your Spire has only just started. That's some pretty late tech, but his use of his Mutismlings when they finally were out were fantastic, and he did just barely by enough time. And then, of course, the hidden expansion can't be undervalued. Had he not set that up preemptively, he probably does not have enough Ultras at certain points of those battles. So just super cool game all around, but it is going to be a 5-minute break, so take a 2-minute break here and then come back and talk more about the series. Welcome back. I'm still going to be waiting a little while longer as the French stream, I guess, is taking a bit longer of a break, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about in the last game, and so far the series has been quite good. You know, there's always that fear, I guess, between 2 unknown players, even though, you know, like they have their own caliber. I don't know how they're going to go up against each other. In that first game, made things look like it could be shaky, but no, that last game, it's just been getting better and better every game.
Also, just to address this, because it has been asked in chat about 100 times now, Zest, apologetic as he was a no-show for today. So Elazer did technically beat Zest, but through walkover, and we didn't have any games cast of that.
Yeah, so I don't mind the short cast, and since we're getting a really good best of 7 out of it anyways, it's not as short as it could be. But it kind of sucks. Just forfeiting his money. I guess he only played 1 best of 3 yesterday, but still.
I know. You're like, yeah, how heartbroken can Zest really be? I'm just sitting there, though, like, and if we're going to be honest, like I said, we treat everybody fairly. Zest is kind of blessed that this isn't our tournament. If this was our tournament, I would have immediately contacted the folks at GameLand and said, no, we need to refund that ticket. This guy's suddenly not reliable. Like, I don't care if you're the best in the world, if you're some random diamond player. If you tell us you're going to be somewhere, I expect you to be somewhere every single time. And if you're not, then we can't risk associating with you a lot of the time. So when people get mad at us for, like, quote-unquote banning people for no reason, a lot of the time there's a very good reason for it. And that reason is almost always anything that affects the tournament means we don't want you affecting the tournament.
Well, I've had little bit donations here and there, so thank you all for that. But we had classic pineapple pizza. I don't know if we got that or not.
Who's the bit boss today? Or who's the bit boss so far?
Prime sub. The boss isn't up.
Oh, well, never mind then.
So probably still BaseTradeTV because no one's killed it.
I'm actually really salty about the Maker a Bit boss right now.
What is that?
So I was on this really big hype train. I thought, you know, Bit Boss has helped us out a lot. I should really reach out to the guy, throw a couple bucks his way, right? There's no need to, and there's no requirement to, but I thought, hey, it'd be the nice thing to do, right? So, excuse me. I reach out to him and I ask him, hey, do you have like a PayPal or anything? I really appreciate what BitBoss has done, and I know we're not like the only people who use it, but I'd like to show our appreciation. What can I do to help? Sorry, 1 second. I'm dying. And he said, well, you can support my Patreon. So I do. And I picked the highest tier possible on his Patreon too, which was like, I think $20 or something, right?
Okay. Less
than 11 hours later, I see this shit he's tweeting about, like, streamers are cheapskates and like they should support the people more and people will regret not supporting their things. And I'm like, dude, how are you gonna tweet this? I literally just like reached out to you. Like, not all streamers are cheapskates, and I get that you think some might be, but this is literally like I just reached out to you to give you money without you asking for it, and that kind of triggered him. And he said he'd meet me to debate and talk, and then didn't show up to that, so I withdrew my Patreon support.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed because I wasn't ready to fight. I was ready to discuss and have a rational argument. There's some stuff out there that's like, one of the biggest arguments is like, you know, without these streaming tools, streamers wouldn't be able to make money. And that's not really the case, right? Like, on one side of this, it's without a doubt a lot of these tools like Twitch Alerts or BitBoss or whatever help us make a little extra money. But I think at the end of the day, because especially with the way you and I run things, it's not going to make or break the stream. You know, we don't actually get that many donations. We don't get that many cheers outside of recent days. So a lot of these stream add-ons are totally unnecessary, and if I had to pay for them, I would only do it if I thought it was good enough to pay for. But he was of the opinion that like people should pay for things no matter what. And I'm like, look, the thing is, small time streamers, when we started, we couldn't afford to pay people to do art assets. We couldn't afford to pay for even the 1% on what was Streamlabs Twitch alerts at the time. So we used another service, right? And there's just so much to be said about it. I was just really disappointed that he said he'd show up for 6 o'clock and then he didn't.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, certainly you can make that tweet and then someone's like, hey, what the fuck? And you're just like, oh man, yeah, I'm sorry, I made a good point. Like, people have reached out to me. I shouldn't have blanket statement like that. Like, my bad. And that could have been okay. But then to, like, just stubbornly refuse and not show up to something you said you're going to, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. The thing is too, I do this all the time. Whether it's like a couple of bucks to the streamers here and there, like I'm no savior, I'm no hero. Monty Yoon, dudes like him, like you see drop cash on all the streamers all the time. I wish I could be like those people. But I make sure our admins are paid. I make sure Joey's paid, even though YouTube literally generates $0 right now. And we might not be able to provide the most crazy profits or anything, but I like to try and at least put some of what we make back into the scene because we get stuff out of this too,
Yeah.
If I'm making $100 in the cast, like it'd be really easy to just be like 50-50 me and Zambrio, but instead it's more like 40-40 or 30-30, and we use the rest to pay the admin or whoever did the art assets for that, or like I don't know. I'm not trying to make this out to be super duper important, but I do want to state that like I think people who can afford to pay for things will, but to try and force it on everybody is insane, and that's why I don't like his point of views, even though Bit Boss Battle is great.
It means he has my Skype, but Zess just literally messaged me on...
Was it the same message? He's
yes,
messaging
it's like
everybody.
literally the same message.
Yeah, it's just really sad about not showing up. But anyways, we're getting to game number 4. He's taking a bit of a harsh loss after what was incredibly a great game out of him and his opponent. In the bottom right, we have the foreign Zerg player, the European Elazer.
This is when I hook myself up with a date, right? And say, like, you can apologize by buying me dinner. Hey.
You're in Korea. You could literally do that. Although, I think if I was you, and into guys or whatever,
all right.
I would be like, you can apologize by letting me pet your abs.
I thought it was going to be so much looter. I thought I was ready for something.
No. You got to be sort of conservative. These guys are Korean after all.
All right, well, in the top left, as the red Zerg, it is Leenock.
All right, so Leenock has displayed, without a doubt, he's got a good handle on the matchup. I think there's actually very few Zerg players out there I will give credit to play a good late game, especially on Hive Tech. So it's pretty cool to see out of him. But
well, bring up Hive Tech. It's an early pool.
I know, I was going to say, we might not see it get there again. Elazer really wants to get some payback, get that score evened up quick.
Yeah, right. Now, this isn't a very committed early pool. It is literally just the early pool. Like, no gas, instantly into a base. It can still be tricky to defend, and there's always that little bit of, like, panic for the defending Zerg player where they're like, oh, shit, well, maybe it is going to be banelings and speedlings. But soon enough, their Overlord sees the hatchery, and the other side of things is that, okay, I didn't expect this to happen, is that they could overreact, right, and put in a bunch of spine crawlers and whatnot, but they could also just completely, like, underreact, and by letting the hatchery die like that, yet just realizing that Elazer didn't really commit a whole lot to that, I would say is pretty bad. A lot of times you'll see people try and pull the drones, and with the lings, then, right before the lings failure, something like that, but I guess just because his pool was so late, he didn't even bother trying. He's still going to have speed above his opponents, and that's definitely good. He could maybe get some, like, a lot of return damage done, but that was a nice opener for Elazer.
Well, he might need more than just a nice opening. As much as it's been proven capable out of Elazer too, I don't want to imagine this is like a series he can only win through cheese. Because, I mean, that's kind of been the case so far, right? Like, both the normal games kind of go towards Leenock, and the cheesy game went towards Elazer.
Yes.
Although, I guess you could debate whether last game was a normal game or not, I suppose, the way Leenock opened.
Yeah. So, this is... not a bug. Someone did point this out on Reddit when Blood Boil was made, but like
Yeah, it was with probes though,
over
wasn't
here.
it?
Yeah, exactly, with workers. So it's a unique feature of the map, I suppose. Overlord drop, though not too often seen in ZvZ. Try and circumvent what he figured was going to be either a wall or a spine crawler. This complicates things for Elazer, because with slow lings, enough of them, he can kill it, but he has to catch up first, and that's maybe 1 or 2 drones every time they swoop past the drone line. There you go, 1. These lings tangled with the queens and lost. There's transfuses available and not that many lings. Leenock, I mean, he didn't really ever scare Elazer, I don't think. In Elazer, you know, he had enough lings without making more, just that they were slow to defend. So he still has a bit of a drone lead, and he still is already on his roaches. But, you know, not a faster third. He's getting one right now, and that might still be faster, but not, like, by a lot. Not a lot more drones. And, you know, his upgrade isn't even that much faster. So, even though that drop didn't do a whole lot, at least the pressure applied was still enough to worry Elazer and let Leenock finish his base and finally catch up in that.
Catch up, you say?
I mean, he is red.
Can I get some ace Ks in chat, guys?
Yeah, you can see there's that huge like boost for Elazer, only just now equalizing. But the point is, you know, it might actually get to an even point, but we'll see. You know, Leenock went for that faster layer, but it is just to get the upgrade for his roaches, not for a spire. And he's taking this outward base, the gold base. Dangerous. While these queens went on a hike. Oh my god. Especially dangerous because you know you don't have speed and they do. Well protected.
Oh, the door was open just barely. Queen gets fully surrounded. Roaches should be able to keep this from snowballing too hard, but there still might be a couple of drones picked off here and there. Not to mention maybe the other queen in the main goes down, and that's not a fun loss to have to endure.
Well, those things will eventually be cleaned up. They kind of... Scoutwood is a good sign. That's like not many drones at the third base. Leenock still has yet to transfer his, so... of course, the one big problem right now is just the army supply, but there's a whole map to get through before that actually becomes a problem.
Also, a quick reminder that that back base that Elazer took does have extra mineral patches, so it's 20 workers, not 16, to saturate.
Yeah. Plus, I didn't think it was that bad for Zergs to not have, well, when they're playing roaches anyways, in a ZvZ, so not quickly up to infestors either. Basically just roaches. I didn't think it was that bad for them to only have 5 gases. I'm not like 100% sure about that, but I think it's a-okay.
Well,
we'll see.
So total inverse base of the gold was the last point I was going to make, but I agree with the gas statements. At least with the way they're playing, it's not going to be hugely detrimental. If it was mutas or something, yeah, for sure. Right. But anyways, Grossabow's looking to land. Nice splits out of both as they both walk away.
This is a tough point for Leenock because he took this base. That's an extra, like, 5 seconds or so that actually could be the difference between just having enough and just barely not having enough,
Yeah, and he doesn't have creep spread connecting either, which is going to be a problem for getting units to their front line as quick as possible.
Yeah. Some Crucibles do get hit here, and of course he still has a defender's advantage, but it looks like he is going to lose that base. That's 300 more minerals, the drone, but also just the time that he's not mining off of the third. And he's down 13 drones, probably compensating for the third being a gold. Realizing he didn't need them, but now, just down in economy. He does end up taking the fights, but Elazer's, reinforcing. He still has a decent army supply.
Getting the gold base down was pretty cool. I like that because it's almost the inverse of the base that Elazer has at home, right? Less workers to fully saturate, whereas the Elazer needs way more. So it helps balance things out here quite nicely.
This is like... The fact that it went down, I feel just like it's so much momentum for Elazer here. The time waiting for that to get back up. I mean, sure, it'll be nice saturation when you finally have it, but it's not up for a while. Means that just continued aggression with such a you're expanding towards your opponent too. Still, you're re-expanding towards your opponents. So Elazer into a nice position. And Leenock's not to be the defensive. At least, I guess, important thing to note is that Elazer did stall his +2 quite a bit to get that attack in. So it's only just started, really.
Well, I'm taking a quick peek at the income graph, and it certainly favors Elazer in a lot of ways. This is something where he might just be able to afford to lose more roaches and take some bad engagements, but it won't be by a whole hell of a lot just yet. Those extra workers, plus the extra base, those pay off a few more minutes from now, I think.
20 army supply lead. I think Leenock would need +2 plus a pretty decent concave, which, I mean, Elazer's aware that could happen. Like, he's probably clicking on the upgrades, realizing his deficit, and I was confused by this link for a second.
Yeah.
And he's being very careful about how he takes the engagement. In fact, he's not going to take an engagement at all. Realizing that Zelnaga is not taken, now is an open opportunity to get into the natural base.
That is the nice thing about having more units. You can split more units as well. If this draws enough of Leenock's army back, that's when he goes back and kills the gold. And if Leenock loses the gold a second time, I don't know that he bounces back. This is actually a really important base to be taking.
Yeah, I don't think he has enough in the front lines here. I mean, he's down 30 overall supply, so it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, he rightfully had to pull back to the main and try and stop the roaches, but while maybe losing the third would have been devastating, losing the main is going to be equally bad. You'll lose your layer tech.
Yeah, he couldn't split well enough. There's actually no chance for that. Plus, he was about to be done, and Elazer has a 70 overall supply lead.
I really like that he pulls back there, by the way. He's taken a decent enough fight. GG. GG ties it up 2-2.
Yeah, tied up.
Also, gotta give some big love to Joro550. Hit us up during that game. 4 months of Prime sub, says 4 months of absolute awesome content. Thank you so much. Thank you too, dude. I can't wait till we're big enough that we can just ignore subs, lol. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for that sub. We really appreciate it. And the nice words are super, super nice on top.
My mom's watching the stream now.
Oh. Hi, Mombi Grub. I know you can hear me now. I want you to know that if I was Korean, I too would also awkwardly hit on you in the street if I saw you with an attractive young woman, thinking that... I don't know where I'm going with this. This got weird. Fuck.
Yeah, also
I'm bailing. I'm bailing.
Oh, God. Just trying to understand StarCraft.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. There's been a couple of friends of mine who do not watch StarCraft. They've never played StarCraft. They couldn't care less about StarCraft. But they have said watching our stream, it's been pretty fun to watch. So there's hope.
Well, she said that it was like me trying to learn knitting.
I'm guessing you can't knit.
I can knit.
Can you cross-stitch?
I can't. It was a lie. I can sew. I can...
Sew what?
Sew your face.
No, I mean, what can you sew?
Your face, literally. On like a,
do you reap?
On a beautiful blanket.
Do you reap what you sow?
No. No, I don't.
You walk into the lion's den not aware what you're getting into.
I mean, I think I know what I'm getting into anytime we go down this path. Just a matter of catching up and trying my best. I can't keep up. I know we're getting into a race and I'll know I'll lose.
Zombie Rob.
What?
A spool of thread goes up to a needle. This is how you doing? And the needle says, so-so.
A spool of thread. I get it. It was a good one. It's good. I'll tell my mom that later. See how much she laughs. Thank you to Mark BT for the 16-month resub. Let's get into the intros. In the top left is the blue Zerg. It is Leenock. Shit.
And his opponent, going to be the Polish Zerg Elazer. Now, of course, this has tied the series up 2-2, and in this best of 7, it is a race first to 4, so it is halfway over at this point.
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. I don't think I've ever heard an announcer say this in like a good year and a half, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. At this point, it might as well just be a best of 3.
No, people still say that.
I would actually get really tilted when I would hear that. Like, and there was no reason for it. It's not like it was an inaccurate statement, and it's not like... But I guess it's the equivalent of like when sports announcers... Because there's a big Reddit thread about this specifically, that's why I bring this one up too. It's kind of like when they say, you couldn't write this. It's like, well, yeah, you could. That's the whole purpose of writing a great story, right? And I feel like that is the esports caster equivalent of, you couldn't write this.
I hate that saying too. Like, you could write it. People do that all the time. Creates crazy dramas. It's true.
So many ace OMGs in chat right now.
Of course.
Okay, well, this game doesn't open up cheesy, and this is where I gotta ask, does that mean it's gonna go in Leenock's favor? I mean, on Elazer, he's got good decision making. He's got good control. But both the games where he opened up, perhaps you could argue a little bit cheesy or at least way too aggressive, are the games that he won. And vice versa, the other ones that weren't were the ones that Leenock won.
Yes. Yes, you're right. I had to recheck. I don't quite remember what the second game was, but I remember now. But yeah, he's opening up, well, not like super cheesy. Elazer is opening up more aggressively with the earlier pool and much earlier Baneling Nest. I mean, he got away with a win so quickly on Defender's Landing without a Baneling Nest, just the pure Ling attack. But could be as quick if Leenock wasn't ready to defend, if Leenock tried to go into, you know, gas his build again. But he has speed, and he has a Baneling Nest on the way too, so really not too far off.
Need a quick round of applause for Hard Revenge. It's been a long time since somebody fucked up bets in such a bad way.
What?
But you did it, buddy. It's 2-2 at a best of 7, and you just awarded it a laser.
That is the worst payout I've ever seen.
At least on the other ones, it was like 3-2, and you're like, oh, I thought it was supposed to 5, my bad. But it's tied up 2-2. It wouldn't matter what's the best of. Hard Revenge. I hope you are feeling so ashamed right now. Shame.
Oh my god.
Shame.
Who did he pay out to?
Elazer.
Okay, well, everyone hopes.
So now we gotta hope Elazer wins, yeah. Because there's no way to fix the bets.
Oh, crashing in a bunch of Banelings is not a great start for Hard Revenge.
No, it's really not. In fact, Hard Revenge may have jinxed the fucking series by having done that.
Oh,
Worse than a caster curse would be a betting curse.
Yeah. I thought I missed a bad Baneling hit, but only killed one Ling. Yeah, that's hilarious. I can't believe you did so badly. Like,
can we get some... If anyone's subbed to BaseTradeTV, can we get some Tasia claps for Hard Revenge in chat? Like, let's lay it on thick. Just give them a round of applause, everybody, because that was just the most magnificent kind of bad I've ever seen.
When, like...
I feel bad. He's gonna feel bad about it, guys. That's why we're trying to make it into something. Just blow it out, run its course, and then move on with our days. It's unfortunate, but it happens. If one of the other mods is around and active and wants to run bets for each individual game for the rest of the series, I guess we could, but that's up to you.
Yeah, I fear he's like in a corner.
Oh,
like, shame.
Oh yeah, that'd be me. If I did that, I would immediately just like, well, Alt F4, I'm going outside for the rest of the day. Bye.
Okay, well, yeah, the scuffles have mostly been done and gone with. Like, any Baneling hits from here on out aren't going to be truly devastating. The fact that Elazer was hardcore denied any aggression, though, is hurting him. He's significantly down in workers, yet trying to get to the exact same things that Leenock is. You know, layer's already done, and I guess he's going for roaches, whereas Leenock has yet to decide. But soon enough, both will probably go for third bases, and Odd is a Spire for Leenock.
Now, Leenock obviously knows his way around a Spire, and he knows how to not dedicate to a Spire. But that was, of course, the game where he also felt desperate enough to put down, like, 7, I think it was, Spine Crawlers against the Roach player. He may need to do that again. I
feel like that's, like, awkward Kerrigan flirting lines, pickup lines.
What?
On my way around a Spire.
Oh!
Like, what does it even mean?
Nidus Worm coming up, though, might make the Spire not such a big deal. You're not going to get picked off walking across the map if you're going underneath it.
Right, I think Leenock was really hoping that he would have such a long period of time to get to a Spire because the opener did not work out for Elazer. That even if he did go for a Roach attack, it'd be like a little less powerful, a little bit later. But the Nidus Worm really dedicating this attack now increases the chances that if it, doesn't work, then he's dead, but it also increases the chance that it actually works, so... risky, and it looks like it's already been found on the front lines of all things, so that's not a great start. Oh, that
but the Queen's get the transfuses. Yeah, that chews through the Banelings too, which was supposed to take that Nidus Storm out.
That was so close to not happening. The first two Queens that popped out didn't have transfuse. Oh boy. Okay, well, the Spineclaws aren't quite done, but there are already 8 mutas on the way. I think that's enough Queens to deal with them. I don't know about transfuse, though. I think Spinecrawlers and Lings, like even without the Spinecrawlers actually, I think the Lings and the Mutas might have actually been just barely enough to do it, because mind you, again, like Elazer's really all in with this, down 8 drones, down to 3rd base, but especially with the Spinecrawlers, I think Leenock's got a hold here. He even gets the Nidus Worm.
There's our revenge in chat. Accepting his fate. I don't know, man, like if any of these Queens go down, I think this is a very different game. We've seen folks like Namshar focus fire mutas, and as we can see here with Elazer, take care of the mutas pretty quickly with some good focus fire. But they are trying so desperately to kill the Queens. Unfortunately, though, I don't think they've got enough.
Wow. I really thought that Linder was going to have it, but he's not able to focus on the Queens. That new Nidus Storm brings forth a lot more Queens, so while there really aren't that many transfuses, it was like 9 Queens overall, and that is enough.
GG! Elazer, I will say though, this doesn't break the pattern. Elazer still played cheesy, just in a very more macro sense of it.
That's true. Well, he also opened up more aggressively, so you're still not wrong at all.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a quick break as we move on to what is possibly the final game of the series. We may have a foreigner upset here, guys, if he can win one more game.
Hey everyone, it could be the last game here. We're going into Proxima Station.
Wait, like ever?
Yeah, like the last game of StarCraft ever. It's a sad
I don't want... You know what? The universe... We saw the future with that one Protoss mission, and it was all Zerg.
Wait.
Tasser goes to the future, and you have to like defend as long as you can.
But that changed, right? Like, we fixed it.
Did it? Did it?
I thought that was the whole Legacy of the Void campaign. Was fixing it.
It was all based around the idea that Amon was the problem, and we defeated Amon, sure. But was he actually the problem? Kerrigan, Queen of Blades, leader of the Zerg, just got infinite power. I'm just saying.
Well, she used it to turn herself back into a human and hook up with Rainier, so...
Actually, she used it to turn herself into a fire angel and fucking blow up everything, okay?
And at the end, she turned herself back into a human.
No, she didn't.
Actually, I'm trying to think if they did show her or not. They
no, because he's in the bar. He's in the bar. Yeah, he's in the bar drinking, and the door opens, and it's like implied that she's like a human, but you don't actually see it. You don't know, dude. I didn't see the body.
I feel like there was a silhouette or something, but you might be right.
Scaramouche,
whatever, man. Whatever.
Scaramouche.
I'm pretty sure she's not gonna just keep her Firebird form while they're doing it. All right. Like, just work around the flames, Jimmy.
What's that? I see a tiny silhouette of a man, but it's like of Kerrigan.
I know you're trying to quote there. Yes.
Yeah, well, everybody does. This fucking Queen. I think people who don't even have never heard of a Queen before still know a Queen.
I mean, you started off that sentence with what is that one song?
Well, I can't remember the name of it, but I knew the lyrics.
Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah.
That song is so weird that I actually legitimately sometimes think it's like 2 different songs. Because people will be like, one part of the song is like, really heavy and fast, and the other part of the song is really slow.
Yeah, there's a part where they're like Scaramouche, Scaramouche. I didn't realize that was an actual thing. I thought it was just a word they made up for the song for my whole life. Until Samurai Jack had a character named Scaramouche. And there's like an actual reason. Like he's called. Anyways, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we had a bit of downtime, but we're back. It's game number 6 in this best of 7. Excuse me. Wait. Yeah, game number 6 in this best of 7. He currently is, well, which camera are you on, I should say? Yeah, behind slightly. And on his last life, though, most importantly, it's the Korean Zerg representative, Leenock.
It's just so uncertain.
I forgot that you're the one with the camera, right? I'm doing this big build up for like Leenock, and your camera's on like a laser the whole time.
It's like it's game number 6, right? And if it's a 7, right? The bottom left.
It's still better than my intro of Blyat DreamHack, unfortunately.
So I play it, safe and calm. The top right is the red Zerg.
Right?
It is a laser.
I hate you sometimes. So of course, again, I'm really sad Zest didn't get to play today. I really would love to know, like, if that still would have been a series where Elazer ended up here in the finals, and if he wins this, then that's really, really cool, of course. But I think one of our mods is, of course, cheering for him a little bit harder than everybody else.
I love when it happens.
Actually, we did talk to him during the break. He felt really bad, and unfortunately, guys, there's no way to really get the bets back. So those are just kind of gone, which sucks. And some people who didn't deserve partoofs got partoofs, maybe with a question mark. But Hard Revenge genuinely feels sorry about it, guys. But I told him, like, you know what? The great thing about this is when the mods mess up the bets once in a while, it is really annoying. And we're just grumpy and there's nothing we can do about it. I actually genuinely love that it was such a colossal fuck up in such a stupid way in like the 2-2 in a series that it actually made it funny. So I wasn't even mad. Like, I'm not even triggered by this a little bit.
What? I just want to know what went through his head. Like, there's nothing that we said that would have meant that it was game over. We said it could have been a best of 3. We did. That's true. We did say Elazer wins.
Yeah. You know what? This is on us, guys. This is our fucking bad. I'm so sorry for pushing the blame on no regret. I know I'm known for not taking responsibility for my actions, so for this one time ever, I would like to own up and apologize. Make sure you're all aware it's my fault because I said Elazer wins. Fuck.
I love it. Yep. All right, so pretty quick, fast third bases. I mean, it's approximation after all, but not the quickest it could ever be. Elazer with Pool, the Hatch, I think it was, something along those lines, and Leenock with there's later third base, basically. But still all getting to the same destination. It's that old chestnut. Much faster Baneliness for... Just kidding.
Nope, just psych! You dummy.
I'm a dummy. I should have seen
I love
that
this
coming.
part. I would love if there was actually like part of one of these players. Like if I was a player, I would troll the casters. I would know like, oh, they're gonna be talking about my Baneliness. Just kidding. Escape.
Oh, I love this response to our earlier conversation. It's not Kerrigan's silhouette, it's cats in a sweater. That's a throwback.
We got 3 kids in a trench coat and 3 cats in a sweater. Both of them are going on a date thinking the other is a full-grown human male and a full-grown human female.
So good.
It's the ultimate catfish game.
Thank you to Lilisvend for the 6-month resub. Versus Solar, my birthday the 10th, and got Diamond 2 today. It's a good day for
congrats. Diamond 2 is better than Diamond 3. Make that progress.
you. That's true.
Kerrigan is literally a hot girl. I guess if you put her behind bars.
Just roast up some Zerglings.
Alright, well, both players head into roaches. Both players go for +1. It's funny, but I believe this is... Well, never mind, of course. Leenock throws down the Spire. There's several ways you can go about this, by the way, but I was going to comment up until that Spire. I think this is the closest we've had to a quote-unquote regular ZvZ this whole series, 6 games in.
Yeah, they both chose not to go for any baneling aggression at all, which, I mean, it does happen in ZvZ on any map, but, on Proximation too. So, yeah, it's a pretty normal macro game. The change-up is, of course, the Spire. This is a really common tactic, I think. It still probably is. I don't want to say that it used to be, but we just don't cast as many ZvZs as we used to. But, like the idea that you're going to go to Roaches and you're going to Spire, but then you go back into Roaches or any variation of that. Like, you actually commit fully to the Spire. Actually, it's a fake Spire. Like, sure, that happens too. So this is why Elazer is bothering to scout. I mean, just to assume that it's Roaches because you saw Roach Warren, which he didn't even see that until just now, would be, quite a bad idea.
Even if you don't commit, I actually really, through watching Bly, especially and some others, I really like seeing like the 8 mutas that come out, whether it's before or after. I just think that they give you so much mobility in the ZvZ that you're just not afforded otherwise.
Yeah. The double upgrade is interesting from Elazer. But he did get 2 illusion chambers, and he's using them, and that's actually going to work out really well for him as he sticks on roaches and hydras and eventually infestors, and Leenock invests a little bit into those mutas. The mutas can definitely make up for what is either like, in this case, not having +1 carapace, or what can be a later +2, I think. But there's also a chance it doesn't do anything at all. Leenock had some pretty good muta control in the Sequencer game, that's what it was, where he got to ultras. He really brought up the game back through mutas and links. But this game, it is just mutas. No one got speed.
The Overlord speed, it does nothing.
Yeah. 4th base already on the way for Leenock. He does have the map control with these mutas. Just to clean up a couple more overlords. Their +2s start at the same time, but as I mentioned, Elazer already has that +1 carapace. And his hydras are taking out the overlords just as much as the mutas are taking out Elazers.
Well, one thing that's been pretty consistent in the series, Leenock, that is taking the extra base, usually ahead of Elazer. Is that off? Is that off by 1?
It does look that way.
I think it actually is, and that tilts me just ever so slightly. But it is off by 1. 100%. That's off by 1.
Sometimes there was a map in a map pool a while ago where the little circle or diamond or whatever actually wasn't the center.
Like Deadwing or something. It was like the greenish map, right? I remember specifically. It would trigger me. But okay, Creep Spread at least covers it up, so it might not be so obvious that he missed the mark on that base. Or it might be really obvious because there's never usually white to see on that.
Well, I'm going to chalk that up to it being 4 in the morning. Alrighty then. Alright, so Elazer has not taken much damage at all from the mutas. He really shouldn't have. There really wasn't that many mutas. And he's totally ready to take Leenock's army. He is down in supply, but by 10, and he has the upgrade advantage.
Type, though, right?
And the hydras as well.
I think 11 Hydra is certainly worth more than the couple of roaches he's missing here on the front lines. Not to mention those mutas.
Yeah, exactly. The mutas are some army supply that just isn't going to be too helpful in an upgrade to fight. These mutas just gonna waste their lives. Waste their lives and go to liberal college.
If that was a Protoss extractor, the shields would only barely be broken.
Yeah, right? Alright, well, Elazer's feeling very confident that he's maxed out. He knows he has the better upgrades, and in fact, he's about to finish up +2 carapace as well, and he can definitely push Leenock here. Leenock has really nothing going for him. The thing he has going for him is that his units are cheaper, so he's a bit more of like a mineral bank, I guess, and he can remax a little bit faster. But other than that, he's still waiting on his upgrades, still waiting on his burrow and tumbling claws. He's just losing these fights. Elazer very confident in losing a couple Corrosive Vials.
The upgrades alone are just enough for the roaches to overpower Leenox. I mean, that +2 carapace is a huge difference, not to mention the Hydras, not to mention the Ravagers.
Yeah. Leenock needs reinforced. He has almost 30 more roaches on the way. That's most of his larva bank actually going in here, but they're going to be coming up very awkwardly now that he's been pushed all the way back into his 3rd base.
This is looking pretty grim for Leenock. Reminder, of course, that this is his last life, guys. He's really got to find a way to bring this back here and right now.
Yeah, he finally finished up the tunnel. No, you canceled it? That wasn't crazy. He was researching that, right?
I've been on the units tab this whole time, to be honest. I don't know.
I feel like I may have been crazy. Maybe that was Elazer getting the tumbling claws. Well, either way, just confirms my point earlier, that is that Leenock has nothing really going for him. He would have had numbers had they not both maxed out at the exact same time. But that wasn't the case, so he just loses to the tech and the upgrades that Elazer has now, and Fester's even joining the fray here. He's losing his roach line. Those Ravagers will go down very quickly after that. I think Elazer has got this. There's nothing else happening on the map. There's no Speedlings even try and attack. There's no Tumbling Claws to try and unburrow and bring the army back for Elazer. It's numbers. And Elazer's winning those numbers.
Yeah, the thing is, Leenock, for whatever in terms of defense here, is still behind in so many ways. Nobody's really able to sneak out Hive Tech behind this. He's certainly not getting upgrades to match that difference. So much of this comes down to brute force, and I feel like there's no way you can really overcome it in some instances. Maybe the difference of Corrosive Biles was there in the past. It's not any longer. That base isn't saturated enough for money to be a big difference. And in fact, if we hit the income graph, Leenock has been winning and owning the income for the last almost 5 minutes, and it still hasn't given him enough to overtake the army, which is what exactly it should be doing.
That's shocking, by the way.
What's up with that?
He did get the 4th base faster, but it's off place and it's not even fully saturated. Yeah, it's weird. Okay, well, still being very careful, as Leenock does have the, as I was talking about, you know, the faster, easier to remake reinforcements. But he's starting to run out.
There's a problem here with the Elazer that I'm not liking. He's putting a lot of his Hydras on the front line first and foremost. Roach just really needed to be there to eat that buffer. Back in the day, Roach Hydra versus pure Roach. Roach would win a lot of the time. That's kind of what's happening for Leenock.
A lot of his Roach on the front lines were very low, so in the blink of an eye, things start to turn. A lot more Roach is starting to reinforce. He's keeping his Corrosive Biles alive here. That might have been the tipping point. Now 40 army supply, and Fester's on the way once again. Yeah, I think that's a tipping point. Routers are now going down, and on top of that 4th base.
Yeah, this is a little too far gone. He hits all the eggs on purpose. That was not an accident. I love that. Cancels all the potential reinforcements that could have saved this base. The base going down is going to be devastating enough on its own, and Leenock is about to lose to Elazer here in the best of 7 finals. GG Elazer!
Yeah, you're up. Alright, so he wins the first place prize, which I believe, again, is like about $250. It's in euros, so not too shabby. It's a 3-hour broadcast. Gonna go to a commercial break before we do our shout-outs, but thank you to the organizers for putting this on, and congratulations to Elazer for winning first place. Be back soon. Alright, yeah, that's it. We're just gonna do our shout-outs now, but once again, thank you for the organizers for putting this on. It's actually something that we did not organize ourselves, which is a rarity nowadays.
I really want to talk about what we talked about on break, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to.
I think a little bit, but maybe not like because it's not meant to be a BM way, but to contextualize a little bit, because I think other people wondered why I tweeted what we tweeted, right, with the K. So let's do the shoutouts and stuff first, and then we'll explain. If you guys want a little bit of juicy drama, the thirsty drama, stick around for after the shoutouts, okay? But first off, for me, I'll just lead the charge here real quick. Big thank you to our sponsors for making things possible. If you guys don't know, we are in fact sponsored by Twitch, and this isn't like you see a lot of streamers that are like, oh, I'm streaming on Twitch, therefore I'm sponsored on Twitch. No, fuck that. Twitch is giving us money to make StarCraft 2 esports happen. If you want to keep supporting this and supporting us and supporting them all at the same time, consider subscribing to the channel. Consider cheering with bits. Anything that helps Twitch helps us in a really big way, and I'm hoping to hopes that we'll be able to do some more cool stuff with them next year too. But they give us a really very generous budget for this year. That's how we're able to fund things like the BTSL, power up the Corsair Cup, and other cool things that have yet to be announced. So please consider checking out the subscription button, because it could help us a ton. Other than that, Corsair as well provides some excellent gear. If you guys haven't checked the affiliate links down below, please do. We've actually got a very low click rate this month, which I'm surprised about. So even if you're not planning to buy anything, peruse the site through our links so that they know you came from BaseTradeTV. I'd really appreciate it. Other than that, as I kind of shouted out yesterday, and I'll shamelessly do so again, I have been streaming on my own channel. I'll probably be doing a little bit of streaming tonight if my allergies clear up. I've been playing a lot of PUBG and other games with Nathanius and some others, so it's been some pretty good times. You can follow me on twitch.tv RIF_KING if you want to see some of that action. And other than that, I guess I pass it off to you, ZombieGrub.
Cool. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at ZG Gaming, on YouTube it's ZombieGrub, and Twitch ZombieGrub. I believe, let me double check because time zones and shit, that my video about my new apartment is up. So just a quick little tour of what it looks like. If you guys want to check that out, that's youtube.com/ZombieGrub. And
nice.
yeah, I'll be away from the casts for the next 2 casts. And there's the Lima League and like I can't remember actually what else we're doing. No, it's something. Damn it.
I don't know. I'll look up the calendar.
Yeah,
It's the Lima League.
Something else. Beyond that.
I'm almost there. Hold up.
Corsair Cup Season 5 Finals.
Damn it. There we go.
There we go. So I won't be around for those two. I'll be in Busan. A little mini vacay with my mom. And then I'll be back for the BTSL after that. So won't be gone for too long. And I hope Rifkin has a glorious time.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if Maynard will join me tonight. Otherwise, it'll just be a YOLO cast. But the thing I want to address now that is a little bit drama-y. I want to approach from like an outside perspective on this best I can. Like pretend, please, if you can, if your brain can handle it, pretend for a moment that I'm not part of BaseTradeTV and that I am just a very well-informed person in esports, right? There's a tweet made, or not a tweet, well, I guess there's a tweet turned into a Reddit thread made by the guys who are running the ESL Americas Cup about it closing. And in this thread, they explain pretty clearly that, like, yeah, ESL just doesn't want to keep it going. But then for what was, I felt, absolutely no reason or relevance, and although I do believe, because I've seen this guy in streams before, Just X Jordan and stuff, I don't believe he had any ill will or ill intentions with his wording. It was worded sort of poorly, and just made me sit there reading and go like, why is this here? This was when Avex, like when Avex made that retarded post a few whiles back, he absolutely didn't need to include a part of the post, and the rest of it would have been magnificent and awesome. But then for no reason decides to include BaseTradeTV's name. And this isn't, again, pretend that I'm not part of BaseTradeTV, right? Like, this is not speaking in a defensive manner. It's just objectively out of place and like kind of weird and uncomfortable to read, both in Avex's original thing and that I'm referencing, as well as this tweet here now. So apparently, and I went to look this up after you brought it up during the break, there was some more context added to this later that I didn't even read. Where they're talking about, for those who don't know, I guess, sorry, to summarize real quick, TLDR, ESL is closing their NA Cups, and some parties out there believe it's because of BaseTradeTV, which made me roll my eyes. Now, coming back to me, so this is no longer like third-party objective. This is Rifkin and BaseTradeTV, right? Before I read the contextualized part of this, I'm like, look, everybody seems to believe that BaseTradeTV, and specifically me, are either really great in saving esports or really fucking retarded, inept, and can't do anything right and just has the biggest ego in the world. But like, what kills me is that people can't keep swapping between these opinions. Like, if I have the big ego and the huge problem with other people like not basically worshiping me at my feet, then you bet that if I was the one to single-handedly kill the quote-unquote competition of like an ESL Cup or something, I would be fucking bragging about it, right? But if you believe the more real side of me that knows that like that would never fucking happen, even if that was the case, like there'd still be no reason to blame BaseTradeTV. So again, I read this post and I go like, what the fuck? So the context provided later was supposedly the person who seeded the idea said, it was my thought, it came from the time being employed at ESL and being in meetings about finding an exclusive org to run SV2 for NA. This was pre-Legacy. This was kind of around the time BaseTradeTV got big, so when the news came in that we're dropping the ESL NA Cups but keeping it EU, it makes me think they wanted an exclusive org for the NA stuff. And since BaseTradeTV is the largest and now working exclusive with DreamHack Games, it made the most sense that, and he's implying that it would go to us. But the problem is, if that is the case, and that was the concern, and that was the only mention of us to this other guy, that's not at all how it was conveyed. And I just sat there like,
it was like,
I could only respond with a K because it was the only thing appropriate, I feel.
it was really like, this is how rumors breed, like literally an action right here. Like one person mentioned it offhandedly, another person like is like, well, actually I said this, but I also heard, like, it's actually everyone hearing some things and doing guesswork, and it's just like, it's sort of funny because like there's like, I sometimes see like the rumors spread and I'm like, well, I see a nugget of merit, you know, like right there, you know, but like this one actually is just like, I don't think any of this is like anywhere close to what the guesswork should have been, but
yeah. And to be clear, this is not a big deal. Nobody here is mad. I don't think anyone on Reddit is mad. This is not a big deal, which is why I felt like this was an okay to talk about the whole like this is how rumors and bullshit start thing, because there are no emotionally vested parties. Whereas if this was any other topic, you'd just be like, Rifkin's being defensive, Rifkin's being angry.
Yeah, so it was kind of a funny thing we were just talking about during the break, but that does it, I guess, right? I think we
yeah,
shout outs.
yeah. I thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later tonight, and Zambra will be back in a couple days.
Yep.
Good luck surviving Busan, and enjoy the fish.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Oh, actually, wait. Before we go,
Okay.
I do have one request. We are probably going to host either Nathanius or Miss Spite. I don't know which yet. But both of them definitely would love if you would spam the Ace K ketchup emote in their chat upon arrival. So please hook me up with whoever we end up hosting and give them some Ace ketchup love. See you guys later. Bye.